Hey, everybody, and welcome to a special edition podcast here at Bethany Church. This is not beyond the sermon.
No.
This is like beyond the building, beyond the...
beyond the entire fall season.
Beyond the ministry.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Podcast. So what we wanted to do today is just talk about a little bit about what's going on at our church.
Yeah.
And by now, one of the worst kept secrets in the church is that
That's right.
we have something going on with building and all this stuff. I just know as I look at my calendar and at my email that there are so many dates coming up for different things that are happening. And what is it that we are asking people to do? What do we need to do as a church? I want to cover some of that and then talk about the difference between all those dates, as well as cover the basic outline of how things are going and what the project is going to look like and all this stuff. So,
Well, you just said what the project is.
Yep.
So, Sunday, you kind of rolled out officially to the whole church. There is something we believe God is asking us to do.
Yeah.
And we as a church now are going to not only start talking about it, but pretty quickly need to act on it. So let's just start at the very beginning. What is this big thing that God is, we believe God's calling us and asking us to do?
Yeah. Well, we have had a lot of conversations over the last few years about the church and what is God asking of us here in La Crosse and everything else. And one of the things that we always kind of determine is that the church growth is not up to us. Church growth is up to the Lord.
Right.
So God decides how big churches are supposed to be. In some ways, we would love the Acts 2 experience of preaching and thousands of people, coming to Christ. On the other hand, that sounds like, logistically really hard.
Yeah, that'd be a crazy baptism Sunday.
Crazy baptism, children's ministry,
there you go.
parking,
Yeah,
like
that's
all
right.
the things. But, parking has already been an issue here for several weeks because they tore up the parking lots so that we could expand that. So God started to grow our church.
Yes.
And this really has been happening over the last few years. And then we hit a period of kind of exponential growth. Yeah. And many of those folks who are coming in, they're transplants to the area, or they're young families, or they're college students, all different stages of spiritual growth. Some of them are mature believers. Some of them are still trying to figure out who Jesus is and what they believe about him. Lots of invitation going on. And how we have felt is just that we're supposed to care for these folks. God has brought them across our path for a reason. And so we got to do something. And right now, our building is keeping us from being as welcoming as we'd like to be, because the truth is we're just out of space. And just about every space, we're out of space.
You mentioned that, we've talked about this, but where we're at right now, I don't think either of us or any elders or anybody expected this growth this fast.
Right.
And I'm just reminded, because we talk about future and plans, and we may try to make our plans, but God determines our steps. And I just look at this and see God is doing something we never expected. Our part now is to say, how do we join with what God is already doing?
Yeah.
And this whole, everything you outlined and what we're going to talk about today is what we believe God is saying. This is how you join with what God is already doing, and meet him in that for not just for the next years, for the next decades of the work God's going to do in the Crosse and at Bethany.
And as we talked about what do we do with these folks was sort of a decided issue. We walked down some other paths to look at to make sure.
Yeah, that's good, yes.
But this was a decided issue that was decided years ago when we built the worship center and our existing lobby. And we made them expandable, ready to go. And so that accounts for, as we talk about project, what a project is, that's what we're talking about. So we're talking about pulling the back wall out of the worship center, expanding the size of the worship center, expanding the size of our lobby, expanding the size of our bathrooms, which is critical, adding a couple other bathrooms, and then some necessary changes that we need to make to the older section of the building that was originally built in 1974 4, I believe.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. Yeah.
And then in addition to that, we get to do some missional things as well.
Yeah.
So all of that is not just like waving a magic wand and making it happen.
Right.
It requires some things from us. So we're taking part in what's called a one fund. And I'm wondering, before we explain the concept of the one fund, just give us the breakdowns, the financial breakdowns of all of this that we're just talking about.
Yeah. So as we are now responding to this, phase 2, as you kind of talked about, the overall project is meant to be a 2-year focus project. Yeah. And over those 2 years, as we've looked at all the pieces, the total number is, as we talked about on Sunday, $6.9 million.
Over 2 years.
Over 2 years. Yeah, that's exactly right. But it's so important, and we've been talking about this, as we look at just operating costs, meaning the general fund budget of just what it takes to do the ministry God is already having us do. Just care for the families, care for the kids, care for the people God is bringing us, as well as the outreach ministry we're already doing locally and globally, all of that. Just for 2 years worth of that ministry alone is $3.8 million. Mm-hmm. So when we say this 6.9 number, it's important to note 3.8 of that is already going to happen.
Even if we don't do anything.
If we don't do anything.
If we just say, hey, look, we're not putting a shovel in the dirt. We're just existing for the next 2 years. It's going to cost us $3.8 million.
The practical growth that God has already been doing before up to this point, if people have been around Bethany long enough and they've seen that growth. And so on top of that, now we're looking at, okay, let's talk the nuts and bolts of the actual building side of it. So the building side of it is $2.6 million. Okay. And so that does exactly what you just said, Steve. It's the expanding the worship center so that we're not sitting on the floor and cramming in seats and even having people have to go sit outside the worship center, which we've had happen. It's creating the space for the people God is bringing us. Lobby space for that as well. I love how you've said this a few times, Steve. Lobby is where ministry happens as well. It's not just in the worship center. And then, so that's kind of the big side of that expansion. But then we've also got $200,000 that we have committed specifically to what we need to do kind of in the old parts of the building to kind of not just updated in the sense of appearance, but really practicality in order to facilitate the growth that's happening with our children, facilitate the growth that's happening in our youth ministry, facilitate the growth that we're doing with adult classes and the ministry and our groups and all these things, as well as men's and women's ministries and the large events. We really need to kind of get our building realigned to the ministry God's asking us to do. And so that's the theater, the kitchen, some of the classroom spaces up there, and classroom spaces in our children's ministry area as well.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of my friends who are either in the chiropractic world or in like the surgery world, and they say when you have an injury or when you have something is a little bit off, everything else in your body has to readjust.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's often that your knee will get sore, and it actually doesn't have anything to do with your knee. It's the fact that you injured your hip or something like that. Yeah. And once you get that straight, it's like your knee is better. And every time we talk about the old building, I think about that. I'm like, anytime you touch that the new section, something gets out of whack in the old section, and vice versa.
Yeah,
and so good. we've got to make sure that we adjust everything so that the whole thing is in alignment.
And again, on Sunday morning, during the week, Wednesday night, the whole building's getting used. Yeah, it's all the pieces coming together, and so there's that piece, but. And I remember when we were having these discussions, there's one final component that is a part of this 6.9 kind of big number, and that is making sure that as we on site begin to make these changes for the people God is bringing us, that we are being purposeful into investing in the people God still wants us to go out and reach and meet. And so we've dedicated 10% of that 2.6 million building project specifically to reach people. So an additional $260,000 that we're not even sure what all those things are yet.
Right.
But we know that as we grow, we have to be ready, like we are now, to respond to what God asks us to do, to meet those that are here locally within our communities and there globally, the people that are out there that God has called us to help also minister to and help them see the beautiful gospel that God wants them to see.
Yeah, one of the beauties of having cash reserves, and we've had some cash reserves over the last couple of years, is that you have the ability to be nimble. So something happens, and you can say, we need to do that.
Yes.
Parking lot is a great example.
Yeah.
We had some unexpected costs with that, and I've talked about this before, but we had a family in the church who saw had a need in the parking lot before we even announced that we were going to do any kind of a building expansion. They were there saying, "Hey, we'd like to help with that parking lot," but it costs more.
Yeah, just a little bit more. Yeah,
a little bit more than we thought, and we had some cash reserves to be able to get that done. And it having a missions fund like that,
yes,
and having money that's set aside so that if something happens, or when it's time to respond to whatever God is doing, we can respond. It's not about saying, we want $260,000 and we're going to spread it evenly among missionaries. Maybe that's what God wants us to do, but it's more likely that he wants us to pray over that and decide at some point in the future, hey, what are we doing and how are we doing it?
And that's so important, because I don't know if people even watching this know how much we've actually already done that.
Yeah.
How much we've already responded to specific either emergency needs from missionaries, or to big pieces that have come up locally with things God are asking us to do for our community, where by having that fund, we've been able to immediately respond to those needs and provide for the work God is doing in those places. And we just want to be able to continue that and be ready.
So let's talk about the strategy of how we're doing this, because it's a little different than anything just about anybody has ever been a part of before. When we break down the numbers like you just did, it's helpful. So it's at least helpful to me.
Absolutely.
But the way we are looking at this is what was called a one fund. So we're not looking at breaking down our giving into, I want to raise my hand and give to the missions part. So here's some money towards the missions part, but I don't want to give to the build, or I'm going to give to the building part because that's really important. I got friends who are coming here and I want room for my family on Christmas Eve, but I don't want to give to the general budget, or I'm going to give to the general budget, but I don't think like what you guys are doing. We're not doing any of that.
No, none of the breakdowns.
Right. What we're doing is we're taking the full number over 2 years, 6.9 million. We're putting it into a big pile.
That's right.
And we're starting to chip away at it. One check to one place, one number. That's the idea.
And there's I think a spiritual beauty to that as well. Because I think sometimes when we segregate these aspects of giving, it's almost like we segregate God.
Yeah.
Like, God's doing this, this, and this, but this is the part of the thing I really like that God's doing over here. So that gets my attention. And we miss how all of it is actually the work God is doing here at Bethany.
Yeah.
All of it is a part of how God is both meeting needs, raising people up, discipling people, and how he's reaching out and ministering to people. And as a church, we are called to be actively, especially in giving, a part of all of that, not just picking the pieces. So it actually, I think, helps align our hearts spiritually to see the bigger picture of what God is inviting us to join and be a part of.
I have so many stories over the years of people who stepped forward and I think in many well-meaning ways wanted to provide something for the church, but have donated with a string.
Yeah.
I'd like to designate my giving to go to this or to go to that, and I've watched entire churches get torn apart by people trying to designate their giving to different things. And suddenly the person with the most effusive personality, the most popular staff person gets money, and it creates this mentality of going out and trying to hunt down big givers within the church and asking them to donate to my ministry. So we don't do any of that.
Yes.
And we really got rid of that years ago.
That's right.
This is in that same spirit, that same idea. So let's talk a little bit about the different ways that when we say, one check, one place over the next 2 years, here's what we're thinking about. So I'll just tell you how Kathy and I are kind of slicing this up in our world. So we looked at our budget, And we decided that we've always been invested here at Bethany since we started. We decided, well, there's more we can do. And I think there's some sacrifices that we can make in our daily life. And so our monthly giving can go up. And so we've upped our giving. So this is just one way that we're trying to help, because the extra money is not going to come from nowhere. It's got to come from somewhere. So that's one part of it. So for the next 2 years, we're committed to giving at this higher level, and we're going to keep considering that.
And that's an important part of this process.
Yeah.
Amy and I are in that same spot. And over the years, we've done this at different times in different churches as well, where we're always giving. We always have that standard that we believe God's called us to. But when we see, again, the needs that come up because of what God is doing, we've said, how do we respond to that? Increasing that to meet that over the course of 2 years or even long term. And I love how you said that. That's always come back, and I think stayed with us as God challenges our hearts in that area. When we're done with that project, what we've realized is God's changed our hearts in that area, and we're ready to keep going. We're almost saying, "All right, God, where else can we give like this, or where else do you want this to be?" So that we keep joining with you in that process. So asking God to help lead us to say individually, each person in the body, to say, how do I step into this more? Would you be asking of me, God, over the next 2 years, and even more, to step into the thing you're doing here? But that's one piece.
Yeah.
There's another piece.
Yeah. So that's our regular giving, and another part of it is we are going to need to get the ball rolling. And to get things started as quickly as possible, we're going to need some large gifts.
Right.
There are all different ways to do that. Kathy and I we just had another conversation last night about how are we going to do this, and what does a large gift look like in our case, and how do we free up funds to make that possible? And there are lots of different ways to do that. So we're going to need some of those larger 1 or 2 times gifts.
Yeah,
so one maybe this year and one next year, if this is a 2-year commitment. There are lots of folks in our church who have jobs in sales or other things where there's a quarterly, their income kind of does this. And so as there are bonuses and other things that happen, they think they can commit this amount, and maybe they can commit a little bit more than they thought they could. And so that certainly is, there's room for that as well. But what we're looking for in this phase is, some people have investments. Some folks have crypto that's just sort of been hanging out there for years that they haven't even looked at.
Yeah.
They got to remember the key to get into it and do all that stuff. They have some inheritance.
Yeah.
They've just been praying, like, God, what do you want us to do with this money? And I was talking to somebody not long ago who worked his whole life at a job, and he was telling me that one of the ways he gives is he reached a point in his career where he got old enough to start collecting Social Security. He said, I don't need that money. I don't need my Social Security money. That I'm giving all of that away. That's my church is getting all my Social Security. There are a lot of creative ways to do this, but lots of folks who have securities. You can donate securities, to the church. You can donate real estate and other things. There are lots of different ways to do it. And then there are some folks who God has, I like to say, afflicted with much, and they just have money kind of sitting there. And the question to them is, why? What is it sitting there for? I mean, it's been sitting there for long enough now that you haven't needed it. Is it time to release some of those resources as well? So these, some creative ways to give.
And this is really important because, you alluded to this. Although this is a 2-year plan, the need is now. Mm-hmm. We've seen the parking lot. We know how full that is. We know what how overflowing our worship center is. And so what these do specifically is they help us move into this faster.
Yeah.
They allow us to start acting on the building process and working into this. So hopefully not delayed any longer. We can really begin to say, all right, God, you're sending them. We're ready to receive them. We're going to start this just as soon as possible so that we can continue to do what you're asking of us.
Yeah. Now, the way construction works is you don't give them a bunch of money up front. So we don't have to hand them $2.6 million and say, build the building.
Yeah.
We do this in installments.
Yes.
But we do need enough to be able to put a shovel in the ground.
Yeah, that's right.
And so if over the last quarter here of 2025, we saw some of those big gifts come in, and people really change their generosity towards God and what He's doing here at Bethany, and start investing in what God is doing. There's a chance we could get going in the spring, right? That's what the construction folks are telling us.
Yeah, and hey, and my hope in that is that we did it once before.
Yeah.
The project we're in now, we broke in the spring, and we got it done before the end of that year, and no promises, but there's hope.
Yeah.
And if that does come in, we might be able to do something like that again.
And it's a very similar project.
Yes.
In terms of the spaces that we're building, but it's really just adding on to existing spaces now. So hopefully,
a little faster.
It will be faster.
And as you said earlier, we prepared for this. So the construction's already been thought ahead to make the process go faster.
Yeah. Okay. So that's some of the urgency.
Yeah.
This is not we'll wait until next year to see what we can do. What I want to tell everybody is we need folks to commit to make a commitment.
That's great. Yes.
They need to commit to make a commitment. You sit down, real numbers, have a real numbers conversation with a spouse or a financial advisor, whoever it might be, but have a real numbers conversation so that you can commit. Hey, this is what we're doing. So it's really this two-pronged approach. Prong one: are we giving at the level of generosity that God has called us to?
Yeah.
Can we up that on a regular basis? And part two is that one-time gift. And if you're in a position to give a one-time gift, over the years, Kathy and I have been in a position to give a one-time gift that seemed like a huge number to us and was a very small number in the relation to the project. Yeah. And it almost feels like, well, why in the world that it's going to get done without me?
I felt that. Yeah.
Wrong. Absolutely wrong. It's about what God is doing in us. Yeah. It's about being obedient to what He's doing in us. And we have been able to invest, by God's grace, we've invested in multiple churches and multiple ministries in all parts of the country. And overseas as well.
And they're still happening today.
They are.
The fruit in those places is because of those gifts years ago, still making a difference.
Yeah, that seemed like they were small at the time, and they just added up.
Yeah.
So, I think about if 20 people just decided, Mom, my little gift is not going to make a difference, so I'm not going to give. We may not be able to do it.
Yeah, that's good.
And so important, just really important to talk about. Let's talk about the dates that are coming up. So there are so many dates on the calendar right now.
They've seen all the plans. But let's actually break it down. How is this going to flow over the next 2 months?
Right. So then, for our purposes, the upcoming date that is kind of facing us down is we have a town hall coming up on November 9th.
Yes.
So town hall meeting is, and anybody's invited. This is not just members only or anything like that. Is anybody who wants to come can come to this. We are going to talk a little bit about the building. We'll show the latest, greatest drawings and whatever that we have. And we'll have a chance for anybody to ask a question about the project, about the construction, about why we're doing this, why we're doing that.
About One Fund, because that's kind of a pretty new thing.
About the One Fund, all of that stuff. So that's November 9th. And so we got to make sure we get that everybody has that on their calendar. Then next is November 23rd. And we're calling this Commitment Sunday.
Commitment Sunday.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about Commitment Sunday.
Well, Commitment Sunday is where all the prayer that you just challenged us to be doing. It's where we commit to that long-term 2-year commitment that God is asking us to do. And as a church, we want to bring that to God together that morning and say, all right, God, here's what we believe that you're asking us to do. We are in faith, all stepping forward on this day to say, here's what we're committing to. And this is really important because this is how we can see, based off what the plan we present at the town hall, can we accomplish that plan? This is a big part of telling us, yes, we can do this. We can move forward.
So we're going to write down on the Commitment Sunday, what we're going to have are these cards, and we're going to write down, this is how much my family and I are pledging to give on a month-by-month basis, and here are the one-time gifts that we are going to be able to do over the next 2 years. So once we have those we have those numbers, we know what we can count on and how much is there. And that, by the way, you know that banks want to see those numbers. So I don't know if you know this or not.
I don't know this.
So if we reached a point where we needed to like get a bridge loan to build or something happened, we needed to do
I know
that.
what you're saying now. Yeah.
The banks actually want to know that number.
Yeah.
They want to see dollar for dollar, what did people commit to? And based on that commitment, they'll loan you money.
Yeah.
I mean, that is remarkable. Just people saying we're going to give,
That's right,
is enough for the bank to allow us to do that. So if that were required for some reason, we might be able to get a bridge loan just based on those commitments.
So then the next big date is December 7th. And so that is what we call Big Give Sunday.
Yep.
And you want to say more about what that is?
Yeah, so Big Gift Sunday. So if November 23rd is about committing to those two ideas. We're upping our giving, our regular giving here, and we're giving this big gift.
Yeah.
What we want is for that big gift to happen on December 7th. If you are able to give a big gift in this calendar year, we're going to ask you to do that on December 7th, and recognizing that, again, there may be another one to come in 26, or maybe a couple to come in 26, but whatever you can, this is kind of seed money to get like bulldozers rolling and everything in the
I was going to say, this is, since it's a building project, this is the foundation.
There you go.
Where we're going to pour, this allows us to say, yes, when the foundation has been built, we know it's going to take time to build the rest of it, but the foundation is there. We can move forward knowing that we're in this as a church and we're ready to do this.
Yeah. So and it also I'll just say from past experience, it's encouraging.
Yeah.
Because it seems like a big number, right? And we've had a lot of conversations with each other and with the Lord where we've said, all right, God, this is scary. And when you begin to see some money come in and some of those big gifts come in, it's a way that God encourages his church.
Oh, it's so good.
And it encourages, other people to give. And so we want to see that on December 7th. And then December 14th. Our calendar year is a little different this year. So December 14th, we have a vote scheduled. And normally we would vote to approve elders at this time.
Yep.
Because this is our calendar years is how we do this. And new elders would start at the beginning of January. Existing elders who are up for to be re-nominated and reaffirmed, those who are coming off their first 3-year term, they need to be voted on and everything. So that happens every year.
Yep, it's part of our bylaws.
But we have a secondary vote that we're doing this year.
So if you remember, for those that might have been watching that or at the town hall back in June, we said normally we bring you a 1-year budget to vote on.
Because our fiscal year runs July 1st to end of June.
End of June. Right? Yes, that's exactly right. And so we articulated, but this year will be different. We voted in June for a 6-month budget, specifically because we knew this was coming. We knew that we could see where God was already taking us, and we knew we were going to need to have these conversations. And so we said, we're going to spend this fall seeking God, specifically getting ready as a church for what he's asking us to do for the next 2 years. And so then December 14th is changing the calendar up, like you said, a little bit, but we're actually going to be voting on a 2-year budget number saying this is where we believe God is asking us to go, and so we're voting to approve this based off the giving and the commitments that have already come in.
You said that in a really kind way about 6 months so we could be preparing and everything else. Here's the reality. The reality is that we had to vote on a 6-month budget.
Yeah.
We didn't have plans.
That's true.
We didn't have numbers.
Nope.
We didn't know what it was going to look like to add on to the bill. That we didn't have a plan for missions.
Yep.
We didn't have a plan for any of that
We
stuff.
just knew God was going to ask us to do something.
Right. And this is all part of, this has, the growth has been so fast, we've been just trying to respond.
Yeah.
And so this came up faster than we were able to even put things in place. So we were still in the middle of those meetings, and we just went, I mean, we can go, my fear was if we go out there and we say, well, we're looking to do this, we're looking to do that, we're looking to do this, that's going to come back and bite us, because someone's going to go, when we get details, someone's going to go, well, what about that thing? And we're going to go, oh yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah.
We said we think about it, and someone would hold us to it. And so this was a suggestion that came from a consultant. We thought it was a great idea. Yeah. And it just enabled us to be able to roll out accurate information.
Yeah, and you use this word, and it's a word that's been echoing in my heart, and I love this word, respond. And sometimes that has this negative thought, like, oh, I'm just responding to what's going on around me. But we get to actually say we're responding to a work of God. There's something special about that. There's something in my heart that builds a joy and a confidence in saying this isn't something we've created or some big dream that we just have that we hope one day is something that we might need. This is something God is doing right now. And I am so grateful that God has allowed us, in a sense, even though it's been a little chaotic over the last 6 months, to be able to see what he was doing so we can respond and join with that and have confidence. This is not a work of us.
Yeah.
This is a work of God.
Yeah. Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, questions that we maybe didn't get to or get to talk about, we'll find in the next booklet. These are floating around. You'd be able to find them.
They're going to be actually available in the lobby over the next several weeks for people to come grab them.
And there's a lot of the answers to the questions are in here, so we can get those things answered. But we're here to answer questions too.
Yeah.
I've had, since we started talking about this, I've had some just really good discussions with people.
Yeah, me too.
And so I'm excited about
and I love
what's
those
in the
discussions.
future.
Those are fun to have.
Yeah. Well, great, man. Thanks for helping me clarify all of this. So let's just real quickly, recap the dates and make sure that we're all clear.
Yes.
So Town Hall, November 9th.
Yes.
The Commitment Sunday is November 23rd. Big Gift Sunday is December 7th. And then December 14th is the vote.
Yes.
And
all that goes into play January 1st.
Yep.
We enter the new budget year where we'll begin to walk this as a church together.
Yeah. And I think it would be helpful also to say that before that vote on December 14th, we approve not only the building construction and all that, we're approving the budget over the next 2 years.
That's right.
And our normal process will be in place. We'll have the ability for you to look at the budget and what we're doing. And
great clarification.
Yeah. So there you go. Thanks, man.
Man, I loved it.
Yeah. See ya.